I'm Ezequiel Paolo. I welcome this opportunity to express my personal reflections about Maggie Boden. I met Maggie in the 1990s while I was doing my PhD at Cox. At that time I had only few direct interactions with her, though her presence was frequently felt in seminars, conversations, everywhere. I remember being very impressed by the scope and depth of her knowledge. I was particularly struck by how she delivered her talks, reading from a text with frequent spontaneous embellishments. You could not tell the difference between what was written and what was added on the spot. But at that time I had a narrow view of her work. I wrongly pigeonholed her ideas within what I perceive as a more traditional approach to the mind. Whereas I was young and attracted to new ideas about embodiment and inaction. But this misperception of mine fortunately changed towards the end of my PhD. Maggie expressed her own interest in some of the questions that were occupying me at the time. One was the pervasive methodological individualism in cognitive science and biology, which I tried to counter with simple conceptual models that show that interaction patterns should be studied in their own right because they cannot be reduced to the sum of individual actions, and Maggie seemed to like that idea. The other was my interest in the relationship between life and mind, which was also an interest of hers. She pursued this from the perspective of the philosophy of artificial life, and later this led to her writings about the importance of metabolism and about Darcy Thompson's work. I'm happy to say that my appreciation of Maggie changed a lot when I started working as a lecturer at Sussex. We didn't have frequent meetings, but we did have few that were very significant for me. She was one of the first readers of my 2005 paper on adaptivity, agency and autopoiesis, which she helpfully connected with her own interest in the origins of teleology. I learned about some of her favorite authors, William McDougall, Gordon Allport, whose work on becoming I later incorporated into my writings, specifically thinking of Maggie. Like everyone who approached her monumental book, Mind as Machine, I was impressed by the depth, detail, scientific reflection, social commentary and human side of her history of cognitive science. This remains one of the towering achievements of the field. Maggie was very encouraging throughout my years at Sussex. She often left funny notes on the back of postcards. "Congratulations on learning to read," she wrote when I became a reader. Or "interesting stuff" with 3 exclamation marks when I sent her a manuscript I was working on. The last postcard she sent me was when I left Sussex at the end of 2009. It is very poignant and I keep it always on my bookshelf. There's a picture of Charles Darwin wearing a dark coat and a hat, looking pensive. Maggie wrote, "Do you think that your research professorship will eventually make you look as distinguished as this? Congratulations anyway, Maggie." One can smile at this, and I did. A nice farewell message to remember her by. But to me, this postcard set a horizon, a direction for growth, as few other gestures have done. I imagined myself answering this message. "Maggie, I'm trying. I'm even letting my beard grow longer." For everything, but particularly for this last gift, I'm forever grateful to Maggie Boden.